I was always against shark feeding dives. I just never thought that on a very basic level it was a good idea to have sharks associate humans with food. So I went shark diving. It's Mouthpiece Monday time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Divers Ready. My name's James. It is so great to see all of your smiling faces. We're back once again with another Mouthpiece Monday. If you're new to our channel, please make your next dive on our subscribe button and click that little bell icon, because we make videos with one simple goal in mind, and that's to help make you a better and more well-informed scuba diver. Like today, where we're going to be debating the pros and cons of shark feeding dives. Lots of places around the world offer some kind of shark provisioned diving activity, where a professional shark wrangler will get in the water with some tourists and a box of dead fish to entice the sharks to come in close, making for epic dive stories and awesome photography opportunities. Now, if you're watching this channel, I'm going to presume that you're not completely detached from all forms of ocean conservation news, so you're probably already aware that sharks are facing a really strong threat of extinction from overfishing, particularly for the fin trade. If sharks are to be protected, we need to do two things. Number one, we need to change the public perception of sharks as mindless hunters of human beings, which they most definitely are not. And second, we need to make sure that sharks are more valuable in the ocean, where they belong, than they are on restaurant menus. And a feeding shark dive event, where you're drawing in big tourist money, is one way to help do that. As divers, it can be really hard to know where to stand ethically on shark diving. So the goal of this video is for me really to share with you the common for and against arguments for shark diving. I also want to share with you my personal experience, having just come back from a shark diving trip. And then I'm also going to share with you a study that I recently read that has some interesting conclusions on the financial aspects of shark ecotourism. But first, let's define our terms. So in this video, when I say shark diving, I'm talking about dives where sharks are provisioned, either by chumming the water with blood, guts and offal, or by baiting the shark either with actual food or decoys, or by actively feeding the sharks either by hand or on the tip of a spear. I'm not talking about shark dives like we went diving and saw a shark and it was awesome and the shark swam away and that was fantastic, which is by far my preferred method of seeing sharks on a dive. Like, for example, the other day when I did a 230-foot dive on the Queen of Nassau, and we had two hammerheads swimming with us on D.S.D.O for about 20 minutes. It was phenomenal. Freaking awesome. Shark diving is a highly contentious subject that even shark conservationists themselves can't seem to agree on whether or not it's actually beneficial for the sharks or not. So let's look at some of the most common arguments for and against shark diving. The most obvious point in favour of shark diving is that it creates jobs within the local community. And that influx of tourist cash is obviously critically important in eco-tourist areas where the choices are: we protect sharks because the tourists come to see them, or we fish for them and we sell them. And we need to do either or in order for our economy to survive. Controlled interactions between the general public and sharks also helps improve sharks' negative public image, but as I'll show you in a little while, that only counts if the operators act responsibly. And lastly then, if we can show through tourism that sharks are more valuable in the ocean than they are on restaurant menus, that helps convince governments to protect sharks and put laws in place to prevent their overfishing and the trade of their parts. So what about the argument against shark diving then? Well, links have been made between feeding sharks and an increase in shark attacks on humans. Tenuous links, but links nonetheless. Some scientists believe that shark feeding alters the shark's natural behaviour. There is no other example in ecotourism where it is acceptable to feed an apex predator. For example, if you go to Banff National Park in Alberta, Canada, and you feed a bear, it's a $25,000 fine. So why then is it acceptable in the ocean? And the last major argument against shark diving ethically, and it's one that particularly pertains to me, is it's not an authentic experience. Of course the sharks are there because they know that you're going to feed them, which isn't really what diving is all about. It's more about the unknown and jumping in and wondering what we're going to see, rather than a bankable cinematic experience. But not all shark dives are created equal. Whilst researching for this video, I stumbled across a 2015 paper from A.J. Gallagher et al. From right here, the University of Miami actually, and what they did was look at many different prior studies of shark ecotourism and kind of compounded all of the conclusions, kind of a summary report, if you will. Now, I will link to that paper in the description of this video below, but I do want to read from you the last line from the conclusion of this report that looked at so many other reports on shark ecotourism. They stated that because shark diving tourism has the potential to provide significant long-term conservation and economic benefits for a small handful of species and communities which can exploit them, decisions about regulation or banning feeding should be based on scientific research. However, a precautionary approach should be taken to ensuring human safety, reducing environmental impact, promote economic benefits, and foster shark conservation. But how do you, the scuba diver, know that the operator of the shark dive that you've signed up for is going to uphold those 4 criteria? Well, in the same paper, Gallagher et al. Proposed some kind of a rating system where there's 5 factors rated 1 to 4, poor to excellent, for marks out of 20. It looks like this. As I said in my intro, Karina and I recently went away for a day of provisioned shark diving to give Karina some much needed big fish experience before we head out to the sardine run in South Africa, which, by the way, is most definitely not a provisioned shark experience. It's Mother Nature's movable feast at its finest. Now, I'm not going to name the operator we went out with, but I will tell you for a fact it was without doubt the dirtiest dive boat I've ever been on in the USA, if not the world. The shower was broken, the head was broken, the nitrox analyzer was broken, but we were welcome to try and use it, the captain helpfully informed us. No thanks, I'll go and get mine out the truck, but appreciate the offer of using your broken nitrox analyzer. And for reasons I don't understand, whilst no one is responsible for the rough weather on the day we happened to go out, the captain seemed to prefer having the boat sideways onto the swell for about 70% of the time we were at sea, which was just unnecessary. But all that being said, how would that operator rate against the Gallagher et al. Rating system for shark dive ecotourism? Category number 1 is educational information, and I would rate them 4 excellent. They gave a really thorough briefing on not just the dive conditions, but also the shark interaction we can expect, the species, a little bit of the biology, and exactly how we were expected to behave underwater on the dives according to the shark wrangler. I thought they did a stand-up job on that one. The next criteria is in-water safety. I would rate them a 3, good. Operation exhibits good organization and communication between divers and operators. Operators stay relatively close to divers. I would say that last part is the only reason they're not a 4, in that the shark handling feeder was a long way away from our group, particularly when we did the sort of drift diving aspect of it. But generally good, clean, communication underwater. I thought they did pretty well. I would say the next criteria, animal treatment. 1, poor. Operators frequently handle and manipulate animals and permit divers to handle and touch. Yes, in the briefing we were actually informed if a shark comes towards you, push down on the head, push them away, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, that's pretty unnecessary, isn't it? Do we need to do that? And from the handler's point of view, they were in front of the box of fish. So of course they're handling sharks left, right and center. So that one gets a 1. Environmental sustainability, I give them a 3, good. Operators use local and natural bait. I believe that they did. I haven't really checked the bait box, but I can't imagine they'd be importing fish for this. Gear used has moderate to low impact. Vessel is fuel efficient. I didn't really have a criteria for that, but I would presume so. Local community is involved somehow in the operation. Yes, all of the boat crew were local. And then last but not least, conservation ethic. I give them 3 good for that one. Operation demonstrates a clear conservation-based approach with regards to resources, animals, communities, and waters. Yeah, I couldn't fault them on that point. So overall then, I'd give this operator 14 out of 20, according to this rating system, or 70%. So that's how that works. But if in the future I was considering going shark diving again, I think that rating system would be a useful way to gauge the quality of the experience and the ethics of the operation. So has doing those dives changed my opinion of provision shark diving? Well, let's say it's shifted. I still fundamentally don't believe that getting sharks to associate humans with food is, at a very base level, a good idea. It's just not. Nothing I saw on those dives changed my mind about that. But I do now have a greater appreciation for the economic side of shark conservation. All of those divers paying good money on that boat on that day, and all the other boats around the world, to go out and see sharks in the ocean, have in some small way contributed to making sharks more economically viable where they belong in the ocean than on a restaurant menu. And I also think of it, because social media is part of my business, of all the divers down there with the big camera rig, snapping photos of sharks, sharing them on Instagram and all that kind of good stuff, and promoting and generally raising the awareness of sharks as being not these mindless, thoughtless killers, but graceful, discerning, apex predators that they are. I want to know your thoughts on shark ecotourism. Have you done shark feeding dives? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Are you for it ethically or against it? How did your operator rate on that rating system that I shared with you? All of those thoughts can be put in the comment section of this video down below, and I look forward to hearing from each and every one of you. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all we've got time for this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it the odd thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel if you haven't done so already. Just over here, I'll put some of our back catalogue of videos, and until next time, this was your Divers Ready Mouthpiece Monday from the Divers Ready studio here in Miami. My name's James. Dive safe, dive often.